I'm Indy Neidell.
And I'm Burns.
And this is the Baseball History Time Machine.
A day late and a dollar short.
That's this week's slogan.
It sure is. Story of our lives.
We have never released an episode late. We went from every week to every other week, sure. But we've still never been late.
It's going to be our 1 year anniversary doing this, is it not?
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah. And it's been lots of fun, but we have loads more to cover.
And today we're continuing the Sluggers of the 1917 series. Is that correct?
Yes.
And where you're going to pick, or you need to pick up where you left off, sir.
If you out there will remember, last week I figured I'd go down the list of players who hit the most total homers 1970 to 1979 to start things off, right?
I do remember that you only managed to talk about two of them.
Two of them, yeah. The top two, Willie Stargell with 296 homers in the 70s and Reggie Jackson with 292. But I also talked about Mike Epstein.
Of course, Mike Epstein and his batting school, which is rooted in the teachings of the great Ted Williams.
It is. And my team's baseball season actually, or winter training starts this Sunday. I can't go this Sunday, but I'm gonna take Mike Epstein's batting school up on there.
You should enroll. Yeah, you should enroll.
Well, I will continue down the list, okay?
Right.
Okay. The guy who hit the third most total home runs from 1970 to 1979, he had 290, is one of your favorite, Burns, the great Johnny Bench.
Yes.
The little general.
Okay, hang on. Did they call him that?
You know, I never actually heard that at all growing up, and it's not mentioned in his Sabre bio. And yet, BaseballReference.com lists that as his nickname.
How about that? The things you learn on this podcast.
Yeah, but maybe was it? Well, they say it was, but I never heard it. And Bench, he was everywhere. He was a career Red.
Yes.
And he had a 17-year career. But people don't realize he retired when he was just 35 years old.
Really? Why is that? From playing catcher, other catchers have gotten way older than that and kept playing at a high level, right?
I will quote the start of that Sabre bio and let it speak for himself.
Okay.
A generation after Johnny Bench's last game, he remains the gold standard for baseball catchers of any era. By the age of 20, he had redefined how to play the position. By 22, he was the biggest star at any position in all of baseball. Jeez. Catching eventually took its toll, moving him to the infield by his early 30s and to retirement by age 35. But his first decade with the Cincinnati Reds was enough to make him most experts' choice as the greatest catcher who ever played the game. 10 Gold Gloves, 2 Most Valuable Player awards, and his central role in 2 World Championships made him an easy choice for the Baseball Hall of Fame at the early age of 41.
He was part of the big red machine, right? Yeah. And do you agree with this assessment?
I don't exactly disagree with it. Okay. I mean, he's certainly one of the 2 or 3 best catchers, if he's not the best. Those Gold Gloves, those 10 Gold Gloves, came all in a row, by the way. Okay. He also set the single-season record for homers by a catcher in 1970 at just 22 years old, hitting 45 to break Roy Campanella's 41 from 1953. He also broke Campanella's RBI in a season for a catcher with 148.
45 homers is a long way off the Big Dumper's new mark, one Mr. Cal Riley.
Cal had a very good season. Well, different times, but I don't want to knock Raleigh, right?
What's the RBI in a season record for catchers now in 2026, right?
It is still held by Mr. Johnny Bench.
That 148?
Yeah.
Was that also the most RBIs in a season by anybody to hit in the 1970s?
It was second by 1 RBI to another Cincinnati Red in a different season, who I will definitely cover in this miniseries.
No sidetrack?
No, not yet. No, still staying with Johnny Bench.
Okay, but what about this, him playing other positions, like...
That was the first season he started playing positions other than catcher, and he was okay at them. But that was mostly manager Sparky Anderson wanting to save him from the stress of catching, day after day after day after day. In fact, the last season he was a regular catcher was 1980. In the strike year of 1981, he played first base, and in 1982, he played 107 games at third base, and his final season, 1983, he split time between first, third, and pinch hitting.
How many times did he top 40 homers in a season?
Twice. In 1970 and then again in 1972 when he hit 40 and had 125 RBIs, both of which led the majors as he did in 1970. Those were his 2 MVP seasons, but those twice over 40 homers were 2 more than anyone other than Campanella from the beginning of baseball all the way up till 1996 when Todd Hundley hit 41. Since then, Mike Piazza, Javi Lopez, Salvador Perez, and Raleigh are the only other guys who played 50% of their season at catcher who have hit 40 or more homers in a season. Piazza is the only one who's done it twice, like Johnny Bench. And his 2 times in 1997 and 1999 were exactly 40.
You think Cal can do it again?
I don't see why not. I'm totally pulling for him.
Okay, what was Bench's background like?
He was from Oklahoma, from a truck driving family, but also a baseball family.
How so?
Let's say a baseball dream family. Okay. His father had wanted a baseball career, but that didn't work out. So he tried to have one through his 3 sons, starting a boys' team already when Johnny was 6. Okay. And according to the Sports Illustrated article, The Big Zinger from Binger from 1969, Johnny played catcher right off because his dad insisted that was the quickest way to make it to the major leagues. Since Johnny was a 20-year-old Rookie of the Year in 1968, he may well have been right.
Okay, wait, back up. What was the article called?
The Big Zinger from Binger. You love it, right?
I love that.
Binger was the town in Oklahoma where Johnny...
The Big Zinger from Binger. That's a way better nickname than, what was it?
The little
general. Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. Johnny was focused on baseball his whole youth. Though, fun fact, he was his high school's valedictorian.
Okay, and the smarts as well.
But though he considered college on a basketball scholarship, when the Reds came calling in 1965 in the first ever amateur free agent draft, taking Bench in the second round, that was it.
If he was Rookie of the Year in 1968, he must have been great from the start.
In 65, in the minors in the Florida State League, he was known really just for his fielding, which was excellent. Okay. In 66, in Carolina's single A ball, he was League Player of the Year when he hit .294 with 22 homers and legendary defense. Jeez. In 1967, at the age of 19, with AAA Buffalo, the Sporting News named him Minor League Player of the Year. Okay. And then in 68, he was National League Rookie of the Year. So yeah, he was great from the start. His 154 games at catcher in 1968 was the rookie record.
And that was the year of the pitcher.
Yep, which is why his .272 average with 15 homers and 82 RBIs is actually a lot better than you might think, right? The power numbers, they led all National League catchers, and the league only hit .243. So his average was 30 points above that. But he was, at that time, still better known for his defense, and he was the first rookie catcher to win a Gold Glove.
So I've heard legendary stories about how good he was at throwing anybody out who tried to steal a base.
He led the league 3 times in best caught stealing percentage with a high of 57.1%.
That's massive. That's really good.
It very much is. No one else whose catching career was mainly during the 70s did that more than twice. Gary Carter did do it once in the 70s and twice more in the 80s, but that's not, he wasn't more of an 80s catcher than a 70s catcher.
Okay, that's fair. But was Bench larger than life like Stargell or Reggie, maybe?
In a different way. I mean, he was a superstar. He was a guest on TV shows like Hee Haw and Mission Impossible. I remember actually on Hee Haw, he sang, I watched Hee Haw every weekend. I'm from Texas. He sang, "You Don't Mess Around with Jim."
Okay, so did he have a nice voice, a singing voice?
He had a he's still alive, so he does have a very nice voice as far as I'm aware. He did then, and he sang it really well, but I do remember that he was stiff as a board, just literally standing like stone, singing it, with all the hot hee-haw chicks dressed in their country gear.
Okay.
It must be out there online somewhere. It absolutely must be. And you guys should all check it out. Now, Bench would say in a 1979 interview, "My push for visibility during the off-season, even at age 22, was intentional."
Okay, what was it like with girlfriends or wives or whatever, like spouses maybe?
Bench was publicly seen with a great many ladies, and he was an extremely eligible bachelor until 1975, when he got married before the season began.
To whom?
The same woman he divorced after the season ended.
Ouch.
Her name was Vicky Chesser, and she had been runner-up Miss USA in 1970.
Jeez.
But according to Bench's Sabre bio, he saw her in a toothpaste commercial, and based on that, he got hold of her and he asked her out.
And she obviously said yes.
That she did, and she said yes again 4 days later when he proposed.
Yeah, he doesn't waste time, does he?
75 and 76 were the highlights, of course, for the Big Red Machine as they won 2 straight World Series. The first of them being the legendary 1975 7-game World Series with Bernie Carbo and Carlton Fisk in Game 6 and Joe Morgan singling in Ken Griffey in the top of the 9th in Game 7 to put the Reds on top 4-3 after being down 3-0 going into the 6th.
Are you going to talk about this series like you did for 1947?
I am, but not now. I have plenty of sluggers to cover.
Okay.
Bench was series MVP after the 1976 sweep of the Phillies in the playoffs and the Yankees in the series.
Jeez.
Now, 1977 was his last big season in terms of raw numbers.
Okay.
He had 31 homers and 108 RBI. And he would never top 23 homers or 80 RBI after that. But that's just raw numbers. His OPS plus and his WAR still held up past the end of the decade.
And after his career, he was a broadcaster, correct?
Yeah, on both radio and TV. He was also a good public speaker.
Did he ever get married again?
Only 3 more times, as far as I'm aware. Okay.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah. Johnny Bench is still hanging in there at the tender age of 78.
Just a baby, really.
Yeah.
Still, he's one of my favorite players of all time. And I hope if somebody hears this that knows Mr. Bench, that they could maybe have him listen to it.
He should listen to the whole series.
He should. I'm a big fan, so I
Well,
would love if
you and a
this.
few million people.
Yeah, of course.
And now shall I continue down the list?
All right, let's get it. Who's fourth?
Someone who's known more these days for being a father than for being a baseball player. But he was a great one back in the day, Bobby Bonds.
Barry Bonds' dad?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. They never played at the same time, did they?
No, Bobby retired in 1981, and Barry was a rookie in 1986.
That's a close window, actually, if you
Yeah.
think about it. But they both had a lot of power.
They both had a lot of speed, too. Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, in January 2026, when we're recording this,
Yeah.
there are exactly 2 players in Major League history who hit more than 300 homers and stole more than 400 bases, and they are Bobby and Barry Bonds.
Okay, that is an impressive statistic. That's the Bond family statistic.
Yeah?
That's awesome.
Okay, check this one out.
Okay.
Well, there were 30 seasons, 30 homers and 30 steals before Bobby Bonds played. Ken Williams in 1922, Willie Mays in 56 and 57, Hank Aaron in 1963. Bobby Bonds had 5 of them. 5.
Oh, wow.
5 in a 10-year period. In 1973, he missed becoming the first 40-40 guy by a single homer. But to this day, in January 2026, when we're recording this,
Yes.
there is only one other player who had 5 30 seasons in his career other than Bobby Bonds.
For all the marbles, Barry Bonds?
Absolutely. 10 points and all the marbles. You got all the marbles.
Yeah, all the marbles. What a family of athletes. I mean, that is insane. Bobby didn't win 7 MVPs, though, did
No,
he?
only Barry did that. Bobby finished 3rd once and 4th once. And he did win 3 gold gloves, though, and he was a 3-time All-Star.
I mean, if you look at just those stats alone, he does sound like the complete package that you want in a baseball player.
He was a 5-tool player for sure.
There we
He
go.
could hit with power, run, field, and throw. He did have a couple of flaws, though.
Such as?
Well, one that was fairly obvious to the general public. He struck out a lot.
I mean,
A lot.
a lot of power hitters do, so that's not really that unusual, is it?
Yeah, but when second-year player Bobby Bonds struck out 187 times in 1969, that was the all-time record by 12. And he topped himself in 1970 with 189 whiffs, and that lasted as the single-season mark until Adam Dunn beat it in 2004, over 30 years later.
That's not a record that anybody wants to have.
The thing is, he did amazing things despite it.
Yeah, I mean...
In 1969, he hit 32 homers and stole 45 bases and was only caught stealing 4 times. He also led the league in runs scored with 120.
See, even with that whiff rate in consideration, that's still a great season.
And then in 1970, he stole 48 bases, though he slipped in homers to 26. That's still a lot.
Oh, no.
And he
only by a
hit
few.
302,
Yeah.
had a career best 134 runs scored, and he had 200 hits.
Oh, wait, hold on. 200 hits, and how many strikeouts was it?
189.
So 200 hits and also 189 strikeouts in the same season. That does not make sense. That's not normal.
No one else has ever had more than 160 strikeouts. In the same season, they got 200 hits.
I mean, you tell him to trust your instinct. You're not going to tell him to, don't swing.
No.
Swing at everything.
This is Bobby. He could
swing
hit.
at everything.
When he hit the ball, he hit the ball.
He smashed it. Yeah, okay.
Now, I loved Bobby Bonds when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fun fact that has to do with this Sluggers miniseries so far. When Bonds retired, he was third in career strikeouts, and numbers 1 and 2 were Reggie Jackson and Willie Stargell.
No! And Bonds is third. Did Johnny Bench strike out a lot?
Not nearly as much as that level. He only topped 100 strikeouts twice in a season in his career, and he was usually around 80 or 90 strikeouts.
Based on the strike rates today, that's nothing.
That is nothing.
So you really have a different breed of slugger like than in the 70s, right?
Well, you
Today.
can kind of say that about any decade, I think.
Sure.
Although the homers, the guys that had homers and strikeouts, right?
Okay.
They really began to boom in the 60s with guys like Dave Nicholson.
I've never heard of him.
He had the single-season strikeout record before Bobby Bonds.
God, okay.
He struck out 175 times in 1963, which was the only season he had more than 500 plate appearances.
And how many homers did he have?
22, which is all right, especially for 1963.
Yeah, of course.
But
of
he
course.
hit, just
different era.
229. And he managed to strike out 175 times in just 449 at bats.
Eesh, that hurts.
Dave Nocholson, though, is still today third all time in fewest at bats per strikeouts. For his career, he had one strikeout every 2.5 at bats.
Okay, I don't know how I'm going to ask this, but who are number 1 and number 2? Just
Number 1 is Joey Gallo. I think a lot of people are going to guess that. Joey Gallo had 2.2 at-bats per strikeout, right? For his career. He did hit 208 homers, though. Number 2 is Patrick Wisdom at 2.4.
Wait, he was a Cub the other year. I can't remember what happened to him. Did he go somewhere else?
He played 2025 in Korea with the Kia Tigers, leading the team with 35 homers.
And now begs the question, what about strikeouts?
He was only second on the team.
Take
But
that,
he
we
is
take that.
second all time in strikeout rate. And then comes Dave Nocholson.
When we did Sluggers of the 1940s, we talked about Bill Nicholson, and his nickname was Swish, right? Like swish, swish.
Yeah.
Surely this Nicholson is the one they should have called Swish, if you really think about it, because he swished all over the place with not a lot of contact.
I'm not going to argue with you, but don't call me Shirley. Sorry, I couldn't help it. But let's get back. Let's just get back to the 1970s.
Okay. To Bobby Bonds, you said that this was an amazing 5-tool player who had 2 flaws, and one of them was strikeouts. What was the other one?
The other one started already when he was a teenager. I'm now going to give you some Bobby Bonds background info.
Please do.
Bobby and Barry are not the only athletes in the Bonds family.
No?
No. His older brother, Robert Jr., starred in football, basketball, and track in high school.
What a family, dude. Wait, Bobby had a brother named Robert.
Yeah, which Bobby is usually short for Robert, right?
That makes my
Well,
head
that were the
hurt.
names. They were Robert Bonds Jr., and Bobby Bonds. They had both of them. There was also a sister named Rosie, and all excellent athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Jr. was California state champion in both high and low hurdles, and ran the 120-yard high hurdles in under 14 seconds. Now, after college football at San Jose State, he was drafted by the Cardinals of the NFL and the Chiefs from what used to be the AFL. He ended up playing pro football in Canada.
Wait. When did the Chiefs draft him?
1965.
Okay, think. The first Super Bowl was after the 66 season
Yeah.
in January 67.
Right.
Correct? The Chiefs played the Packers. He could have played in that game.
He could have had he come up with the Chiefs. But that's the way fate works. He chose Canada.
Okay.
Now, sister Rosie was also a hurdler, making the Olympic team in 1964.
Like Mike Epstein?
Yeah.
My man, Mike Epstein.
Your mind, you don't forget things.
I love
Yes,
Mike Epstein.
which we learned last episode. Mike Epstein was also there.
So how did Rosie Bonds do at the Tokyo Olympics?
The 80-meter hurdles was the only women's hurdles event that year. And in the fourth heat of round 1, she finished first with 10.6 seconds.
Okay.
And then she was fourth in the first semifinal with 10.8 seconds. And then 8th in the final, again with 10.8. But she hit the second hurdle.
Yeah, this family reminds me of Jackie Robinson's family with these athletes and everything.
I
it's
remember
actually
that about
insane.
Mac Robinson and
it's
stuff, too.
insane to me.
If you guys haven't seen haven't listened to our series, our multi-part series about the first black players going back to the 1880s and stuff, do a bunch of stuff about Jackie Robinson's family, especially his brother Mac, who competed in the 1936 Olympics.
I'm pretty sure there was a terrible reference to the Return of the Mac in there, and I'd be very mad if I didn't do that. So if you do hear it, write us, and if you listen to that episode and I did say it, please remind me. I'll have to go check myself to see if I made a terrible joke like that. But yeah.
I'm just letting you go, man.
Back to Bobby Bonds.
Bobby Bonds had a good childhood, and he even says in Barry Bonds' biography is quoted as saying, "I wouldn't want to change my childhood for anyone."
Okay.
In high school, he ran the 100-yard dash in 9.5 seconds. He was the state long jump champion. His 25 feet and 3 inches was just a little bit over a foot short of the American record, but he was in high school, and he starred in both baseball and football. Now, his Sabre bio tells the story of one day he had a baseball game and a track meet against the same school at the same time, right? They traveled to the other school, baseball, but it happens, right? Yeah. He's playing center field in the baseball, and then when it was time for the 100-yard dash, they paused the game, he climbs the fence, and he ran the 100-yard dash in his baseball uniform and his baseball cleats. 9.8 seconds. And then he played a few more innings and did the long jump also in his uniform and cleats and jumped 24 feet, 11 inches.
So this is incredible, but this reminds me of a cricket player who's from my high school, who I can brag about. His name is A.B. de Villiers. And A.B. de Villiers was scrum half for the first team rugby, played first team cricket, played first team tennis, played first team field hockey, and I think, if I recall, he ran track as well. He was pretty good at that as well.
Okay.
And he's also a freak, absolute freak. And here's what they call today, he was one of the first guys that they call the 360 player, where he could hit the ball 360 degrees. Doesn't matter where you bowled at him.
Yeah.
He would put it somewhere, and he invented some incredible athlete. Just
where is he now?
He's I think he's 30. He's maybe 41 now. He's a bit older than me. But the rumor is that he is going to return to the South African national team to play the World Cup next year.
And what was his name again?
2027. A.B. de Villiers.
A.B. de Villiers.
Yeah, you can look him up. There's still high school stuff of him.
Oh, I love it.
That you can watch.
Okay, that's your homework, everybody. Look up A.B. de Villiers.
Yeah, he went to my alma mater, and if somebody can't spell that, just send us a DM, and I will happily spell that for you.
Now, okay, but I told you this background about Bobby Bonds because I'm going to get to his flaw.
Okay, here
we go. Bobby Bonds began drinking before he even reached high school when he was still in junior high.
Don't tell me that.
According to that biography of Barry Bonds, before Bobby won the state long jump title, he had a can of beer under the bleachers. Okay, you know Dusty Baker, right?
Yeah, old Dodgers star and pretty recent Astros manager, right?
Here's a quote from Bobby's Sabre bio. Bonds grew up with former player and manager Dusty Baker. Baker's father, Johnny, was a family friend. He used to do the same thing before he ran the 100, said Johnny Baker. Whenever Bobby went behind the bleachers, you knew what he was doing. I had to talk to Bobby a million times about drinking when he was in school. He would always say, Mr. Baker, I don't do this, and Mr. Baker, I don't do that. But, well, he did.
So like a teenage alcoholic is basically
I cannot say if it was ever that bad, but it was a thing already then. Now, Bobby Bonds played in 14 seasons. The first 7 of them, which were pretty much his best ones, for the San Francisco Giants.
Okay.
And when he was traded after the 1974 season, a reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle, Glenn Dickey, wrote, "The Giants were certain Bobby's career would end prematurely because of the drinking."
So that was the reason he was traded?
Not entirely. I don't really think so. I'm not actually sure. He had a huge screaming argument, heard by everybody, with owner Horace Stoneham about a new contract, which left Stoneham angry to the point that he said Bonds was finished and would never play another game for him.
Where was he traded?
To the Yankees, where he joined free agent signee Catfish Hunter, who just won the Cy Young Award.
Great
the Yankees
name.
looked...
Great name.
Catfish Hunter, yeah.
Catfish Hunter is a
great
name.
You don't like Catfish Hunter?
Love that name.
I'm going to tell you the story of that name when I talk about Catfish Hunter,
okay.
because it was completely manufactured. But not by Catfish Hunter.
Of course not. The best nicknames are the ones you get, not the ones you pick.
No, but this wasn't even one you got from the fan and stuff. This was what you got from your owner. But it's
Okay.
Well, I'll tell. As long as I'm telling it, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
When Jim Hunter, who threw a perfect game in the '60s, when the A's were becoming the thing, and Catfish Hunter or Jim Hunter and Vida Blue were their big stars, right? Star pitchers.
Okay.
Charlie Finley, he won. He encouraged them all to have mustaches and beards, which nobody had, because he wanted to have a younger 70s crowd. Younger, and it worked.
Yeah, it was hip.
But it worked.
Yeah.
But people needed good nicknames. It was this is how the story goes.
Okay.
I'll have to dig into it and see how true this is or not, because I'm repeating the hearsay that I have known since I was a kid, right?
All right. Okay, I'm here for
Charlie
hearsay.
Finley said, listen, you need a cool nickname. Catfish is going to be your nickname. We're going to Catfish Hunter. And the story that one day you didn't come home and your parents were like looking for you for hours, and turned out you had gone fishing for catfish, and they called you Catfish after that. And Jim Hunter was like, all right.
It doesn't sound like you had much of a choice. They're like, listen, bro, this is your identity, and you're just gonna have to roll with it. Okay?
We have to do an episode about wacky baseball owners like Bill Veeck.
Well, not just that, but
Charlie
also baseball
Finley.
nicknames.
Oh yeah,
but
there's a lot that'll be a multi-part series. But to cover like guys like Veeck and Charlie Finley.
Charismatic comes to mind. The word charismatic.
But that was you got to fill the seats.
Okay.
But that was how Catfish Hunter apparently became Catfish Hunter.
Okay.
But he won the 1974 Cy Young Award.
Yes.
So the Yankees were in first place in late June in '75, but they ended up finishing 12 games behind the Red Sox. And okay, they did win the next 3 pennants, 76, 77, 78, beating the Royals in the playoffs each year, and they won 2 World Series. But Bonds was not part of that dynasty.
No?
No.
Okay.
Over the final 6 years of his career, Bonds went to the Angels, then the White Sox, then the Rangers, then the Indians, then the Cardinals, and finally the Cubs.
Go Cubs.
Sure. He battled injuries in 1980 and 1981, and that was it. He did quit drinking after his career was over, and then after that he became a coach. In fact, it was for the Giants, who were managed by Dusty Baker, and his son Barry was the star of the team, the left fielder.
Okay, one question about Bobby Bonds.
Yeah.
He's the 4th in home runs in baseball in the 70s.
Yeah.
Where did he finish for the decade in stolen bases? Because he was this athlete, right?
Yeah,
like he had the 5 tools.
He was 4th in home runs. He was also 4th in stolen bases.
Okay.
He had 380 steals from 1970 to 1979.
So many, dude.
And that was behind Cesar Cedeno, Joe Morgan, and leader Lou Brock, who had 551 and set the single season record in 1974 with 118, the record that Ricky broke.
So do we have time for one more slugger?
Yeah, I want to round out the top 5 home run hitters of the 1970s today.
All right, so who was number 5? Lucky number 5.
Someone who's often overlooked or even forgotten today, but he hit 270 homers in the 1970s, which is right up there with the top 4, right? It is none other than the big bopper himself, Lee May.
Did they actually call him that, or is that a baseball reference? Or is that what the baseball reference page is? Because Big Bopper is fantastic.
It's actually both. When I first was old enough to go to baseball games, he still played with Houston, where I live. And that I remember.
Not sure I've heard of him. Did he win any Gold Gloves or MVPs? Was he an All-Star?
No, and yes.
Okay.
He was a 3-time All-Star. He never finished higher than 9th in the MVP voting. He was a sure-handed first baseman, but he had a somewhat limited range. Not a bad guy to have on your team at all. I mean, great guy to have on your team, but not exactly Bobby Bonds or Johnny Bench.
He sure hit a lot of homers.
He sure did.
Did he also strike out a lot?
He sure did that too, though not as much as Bobby Bonds.
Okay.
When he retired in 1982, Reggie, Stargell, and Bonds were the top 3 all time. And Lee May was 8th.
Okay, that's not
just
bad.
Behind Hall of Famers Mickey Mantle and Harmon Killebrew.
Who else did he play for besides Houston?
He played for the Reds and the Orioles. That's who he was, mainly playing for. And a few games over 2 years with the Royals at the tail end of his career.
So tell us a bit about the big bopper, Mr. Lee May.
He had 11 straight years with at least 20 homers and 80 RBIs.
That's pretty good.
Considering at the time you might lead the National League with 36 homers, or the AL with 32, and as few as 118 RBI in the National League, or 108 in the AL, that makes that even more impressive.
Did he ever lead the league in homers or maybe RBIs?
Lee May led the American League in RBIs with 109 with the Orioles in 1976. He never led either league in homers, though he finished as high as 3rd a couple times with his career bests 38 in 1969 and 39 in 1971. But he had 7 seasons in the top 10. He himself said he tried to hit a homer every time he came to bat. That's what he was paid to do.
I like that. Where's he from?
He's a Southern guy like me, although he's from Alabama.
Okay.
High school sports star like Bonds. So big, at that age when he was playing as a teenager that he carried his birth certificate so other teams believed he was the right age to play, right?
Okay.
He was called the Big Bopper already then, like the singer, Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a ponytail hanging down, a wiggling a walk and a wiggling a talk loud. Make the world go round, oh, there ain't nothing in the world like a big-eyed girl to make me act so funny, spend my money, make me feel real loose like a long neck goose like a duck. Oh, baby, that's what I like. I love the Big Bopper. Now, the Big Bopper died in the plane crash that claimed Buddy Holly, February 2nd, 1959. So Lee May would have been 16 years old. So obviously he got the nickname.
Okay, that makes sense.
The Big Bopper was still alive, when he was
okay.
And he was bigger than everybody else. He could have gone to college on a football scholarship, but he figured baseball would likely give him a longer career. So he signed with the Reds for a $12,000 bonus. Fun fact, his first manager down in Class D Florida State League was Johnny Vandermeer.
It's a small world.
It is. It's our old friend Johnny Vandermeer.
Mr. Vandermeer.
I wonder how many times he's going to keep popping up.
I actually really like it. Okay, so hang on. So he was also part of the Big Red Machine then.
Well, I'll get there. Let me finish his minor leagues and then we'll get to his major. Because he was, but he wasn't.
Okay.
He was both. He was both.
He was in and he was just kind of.
Now, May was. His plan in the 60s was to go to college in the offseason, but the money he got playing winter ball in Puerto Rico and Venezuela kept pushing that back year after year after year.
What sort of money did he get for playing baseball?
According to May himself, his first year in the minors under Vandermeer, he got $350 a month. And in Venezuela, he got $1,500.
Okay, that's a huge difference. I would push back my college as well. Like that's good money.
And May kept playing down there in the winters, even after he was a big star in the National League.
No way.
In the winter of 69-70, he played in an outfield there that also featured Roberto Clemente and Jose Cardenal.
That's insane. When did he make it up to the Reds then?
In 65, he was the Pacific Coast League MVP with San Diego, and he was called up for, I think, 5 games. In 66, he played 25 games. In 67, he was a regular. And in 68, he led the Reds in homers with 22.
The year of the pitcher?
Always. Now, the Big Red Machine was slowly coming together, right?
Okay.
In 1969, Lee May was an all-star, hitting 38 homers and driving in a career-best 110 runs, and he was off to the races.
Yeah, well, the reason why I asked was I don't think of Lee May when I think of the Big Red Machine. Well, I don't think of him at all, to be honest, but I guess I'll have to start.
You're going to have to start. In 1969, the Reds were part of a tight pennant race in the National League West, the first year of divisional play. They were in first place as late as September 11th, but they finished in third, 4 games behind the Braves, 1 behind the Giants.
That's pretty good.
But then in 1970, it all came together. And with Bench as the MVP with his 45 homers, Tony Perez hitting 40 more homers, May adding 34 more homers, they won 102 games. But they lost the series to the Orioles. In 71, however, they slipped to 4th place in the division and had a losing record.
Oh, how come?
Well, the hitting did drop a notch, but come on, with Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Lee May, and Pete Rose, you can still hit, right?
Yeah, of course.
And May hit 39 homers. That was his career best.
Pretty good.
But their pitching was really the issue that year. But the front office wanted a shakeup, so they made a legendary trade with Houston.
Yeah, you see, legendary trades are most often very bad for someone else.
Yep.
Okay.
The Reds sent Lee May, Slugger Lee May, Gold Glove second baseman Tommy Helms, and Jimmy Stewart to the Astros.
Wait, the actor Jimmy Stewart?
Yes, Burns. The Reds threw in the actor
Jimmy
Stewart to sweeten the deal. I slugged 345 last year. Do you know when you try to hit a slider, what you're trying to do, Burns? Well, for crying out loud, you want to hit it just before the break. You creep up a little bit in the batter's box. You creep up. No, they sent the mainly pinch hitter, Jimmy Stewart.
Okay. What do they get back?
They got Joe Morgan, who would win back-to-back MVPs with the Reds. Jack Billingham, who would be a major component of their pitching staff. Center fielder Cesar Geronimo, who would win 4 straight center field Gold Gloves with the Reds. Dennis Menke and Ed Armbrister.
I don't mean to sound out of pocket here, but it sounds like the Reds fleeced them.
The Reds definitely got the Reds got the Big Red Machine out of that deal. I mean, Geronimo, Billingham, and Morgan. Yeah. That's just that.
That's insane.
Okay, May did have 3 solid years for the Astros. 3. But, by the time the 75 Cincinnati World Series came around, they were gone from the Astros. And Tommy Helms had 3 pretty good years for the Astros.
And Jimmy Stewart?
Oh, Jimmy Stewart. Okay. After hitting 191 with no extra base hits in 1973, he was out of the majors. But the Reds blossomed, winning the pennant again in 1972 and losing the World Series to Oakland in 7 games. They won the National League West in 1973. They finished second in 74, though they still won 98 games. And then they won back-to-back World Series.
That's what a run.
Yeah.
That's an insane run, actually. Yeah. Did Lee May ever get to play in a World Series after 1970?
He did.
Okay.
With Baltimore in 1979, but it was just 2 pinch hit plate appearances. He walked once and he struck out once. But that was the last season May appeared in 100 games as well.
I mean, you take that. That's a pretty solid career.
Something I've left out. His brother Carlos May also had a major league career playing in the American League the same time as Lee.
Was he a power hitter?
Not so much. He hit 90 career homers in a 10-year career, and he was an all-star twice. But together, the May brothers have 444 homers, which is pretty high up on the list for brothers.
Okay. On the list of brothers, who has the most?
Hank and Tommy Aaron.
Okay.
Hank's 755 and Tommy's 13 makes 768.
I mean, Tommy Aaron must feel proud of that record. He's in the record. He's in the brothers' record.
He did pass away back in the 80s, but I would imagine he felt very proud of that record back in the day.
I mean...
Yeah, Tommy Aaron, man. Cheers to Tommy Aaron.
Cheers to Tommy Aaron. We can cheers on that. Is that everybody? Are we going to cover anybody else?
We're not covering anybody else, just these 3. And which makes me wonder how I'll continue the Sluggers of the 1970s miniseries, since 60 guys in the 1970s had 30 homer seasons, and 16 topped 40 at least once.
Which neither Bobby Bonds nor Lee May managed.
True that. Heck, the Braves had 3 guys hit 40 homers in one season.
Okay, we're going to have to start with that next time.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to start with that next time.
Please, because that's insane.
That's where I'm going
to begin. For that era, to hit 3 guys doing
it never happened before.
That's wild.
So I will now wrap it up. Let's see, everybody out there. Please support us at patreon.com. You get these episodes a bit early and ad-free when you do, and it really helps us. And I'm thinking we might start selling things like t-shirts or coffee mugs. We'll tell you about that as that develops. You can let us know what you think about that at our Instagram or our Facebook. We tend to check the Insta a bit more, though. Yeah. Right? So, all right, Burns, take us home.
Well, that's it today from me, Burns.
And me, Indy Neidell.
And the Baseball History Time Machine.
Yeah.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.